Hello and welcome back to the channel, Frosty Dice Gaming. And today we're going to talk about how to keep your players entertained with a map. Now this will do a lot of benefits. There's 7 things that I got listed down that it'll help you on, from creating more ideas to hooking them on adventures to giving them a place to wander and create, and preventing them from getting derailed because you accidentally described a very generic, bald-headed, heavy-set bartender who had a scar on his eye. And that was what your accident was. And now they want his whole life story because they see this scar on his eye. Or you described a mountain or a lake or something, and they get totally derailed. So what this is it's going to take care of that. Now, you don't need really good, this is still in its kind of rough draft area, but you don't need really super great art. You can do it with, and I'm not saying this is super great art. This is just sort of average, I want to say. And you don't need too crazy of art to do this. You don't need to be a very big drawer or anything. And it'll help on a lot of things. Now, you can have little details like this that will help and make things better. But what the real intention is, for when you've got a large map, you've got your campaign map. And this is a campaign map that I'm working on for one of our current games. And what you do is you take your point A to point B. And in here, you can say it's 3 days journey, but we're not going to do 3 days journey. We're either going to do random rolls or we're going to just describe. It takes you 3 days to travel. You camp, you do your things, and you arrive. Poof, done. I know some people will do that. But what happens then is we're creative people. The people who game and play pen and paper, Dungeons and Dragons, and all these other games like that, they tend to be a more creative group. So trying to, I guess, overlook a lot of that creativity and a lot of that freedom that comes with this type of a game can really bite you down the road. And so we're just going to imaginary kind of draw an idea of there's a map that's right there. And during that map, there's a lot of things that can happen. And this is an idea that I came with about 15, 18 years ago. And I've used it ever since. My players have enjoyed it. And I've found so many benefits from doing something like this. So we're going to pretend we're going to take a map in there. And we're going to start with a blank sheet. And what this does is so that when you describe a mountain way off in the distance, they don't zero in on that mountain and take off after it. They're going to head onto the quest. Because there's an imaginary boundary that they can visibly see on the game table. So this keeps their imagination in check. It gives them a physical boundary. So you're going to be in point A and you want to travel to point B. And we already said it takes about 3 days. Now I'm going to use a pen or a felt, but I'd recommend a pencil. It's just so that it shows up better on the camera. And we say, here's your first day, and here's where day 2 would be. What I also like to do is I also like to take a line down the center. And this is if they tend to travel kind of a zigzag motion. It takes 1 extra day to cross north or south. And then we're just going to start to draw. Now, like I said, you don't need to be terrible crazy. I've done a very basic, fast sketch, and I've thrown it together within like a half an hour, a lunch break. And it passed for the characters. They began to interact and build with this map. And what I say is, this is their area to play in. They can do anything they want. And on a way, you're also creating your own world. And so we're just going to put a forest here, and we're going to try and follow the map. So we know there's a river that travels through the map like this, and it splits off because we are kind of zoomed in. It can be a little bit bigger, and we know they're traveling away from the mountains and they're coming in and arriving here. So we're just going to keep track of where the water is flowing, and it usually flows away to the mountains or from the mountains down towards the area. Now, they'll probably be traveling up from this way, but we don't want to give them roads. We want them to travel through a kind of a wild wilderness area to get to point B. And point B is where they want to arrive at their destination over here. Point A, they'll be traveling from here. And during the way, let's just say they run into a tent. And you don't even need to get too crazy on how you're drawing. And we'll just put a tent there. Over here, let's just put some rocks. It can just be an outcrop of rocks. That's over here. And you just sort of generate ideas, and we're just going to put a little black thing that's out looking over there. The felt is not working out the greatest for pencils, so you can't erase, but there's a outcrop of rocks over here. Now what I would do is I would say, okay, here's the first place, here's the second place, and we're going to say inside here you can see smoke. There's smoke rising out. So there's smoke coming out, and players will ask certain things like this. And this is giving visual aid. And when I do things like this, I try not to put a mountain right here, or I don't put hills that start up here. I try and keep their focus towards like in the center, almost shaped like an American football. Because if you start putting focus out here on the corners, they're going to start wanting to journey further into the mountains or further into the hills, or if you put woods up here and then you kind of go, oh, yeah, that's the woods of Sharp Teeth. Oh, Sharp Teeth, is there wolves in there? And then you realize, oh no, there's one guy that wants wolf pelts. And next thing you know, your party's heading off that way. So try and keep things maintained in this area. And what happens is the players become invested and they see visually what's going on. So you can do different things. You can put a forest over here. You can then inside, there's these ruins. There's a ruined keep that's over here. And they can just see poking out of the top. There's some sort of stone structure over here, and they don't know, it's never been on any map, and it's just there. They can see it. And what you do is you just put a number 3 over there. Because over here on this sheet, you're going to say number 1. Let's say Mad Wizard hiding in a tent. So if they don't go after that area, and they don't pass by it or they don't deal with it, you didn't lose any time. You didn't put hours into a story or a quest or anything, or a side quest, and have all kinds of maps drawn up and an NPC made. You only lose that. So you kind of rough it out and you say, okay, this wizard can cast this and he'll do this, and you give him a little short quarter-page resume. And it can be as simple as there's 3 goblins. 3 goblins is attacking him. He's got an injured leg, and he's unable to defend himself. The players can either arrive and help him, rob him, do whatever they want with him. Down the road, if you feel you can use him later, you can write him into the story of something. It gives you time to work with that. Kind of got off there, so we're going to say 4. 2 is an outcrop. Now this one you might want to put a little bit, and you can draw just a little map of it going in. And in here, you know it's a bear cave. Inside there's a bunch of corpses and bones and different things, and let's say there's a chest, a pirate's chest. I don't know what to really put in there. But this is just generating ideas, and you're just kind of figuring things out. And so you got your outcrop of rocks outside, and then you have to deal with a cave bear. Now you can even go out and say it's a zombie cave bear, it's a skeletal cave bear, it's a dire bear, it's something that's a challenging, and it's just a single little blip, and you can quickly go, okay, page, I don't know what page it would be, but page 84 of what's the matter, done. When it comes time, you're not flipping all over, you know that there's a jot note, and if they don't come here, That's all the time you've put into this. And yet, you've got a random loot, you've got a place they just explored and interacted with, and down the road they might go, hey, this is a cave, this is unusual. And you can even say, there's a little bit of shiny minerals over here. If you've got any dwarves in your crew, they're going to remember that cave, and they're going to come back, and they might think of exploring and building out and creating a mine in there. And that's why I said, this is a free place for them to start working on and building and doing whatever they want to do. So we've got a few little things here, and we've got 3, let's just get that out of the way. Ruin Fortress in the woods. You can do a lot of stuff with that. You can kind of randomize, and you can say there's cracked doors. You can put them on a time restraint so that they have to come back, and that gives them time. They can't explore this on their way because they've only got 3 days to get there, and they kind of estimate that it's going to take them too long. But on the way back, they can create a bridge, and of course you're going to use a pencil, so you can create a bridge, or you can destroy the bridge. And another thing, I'm going to draw, let's just say there's a giant tree. And it's a huge tree, and people kind of know of it. There's an elf that's living there. You don't need to get too detailed. You just know that there is a humanoid there who is living in this giant tree, and you can describe that tree. More than likely, you're going to draw the attention of it. Eventually, talking with the person, you find out that number 5 is the Tree of Life. Down the road, now what this creates is it creates an environment that the players can play in and interact with, and they can see certain things. So let's just say they burn the tree down. Why would they burn the tree down? Same reason a cat takes glasses, expensive equipment, and plants and knocks them off of a ledge, and then stands at it and looks down at it. Same reason. Same reason a player would burn that tree. So, what do we do? Next time they're playing, they remember, and they can even see the outline of the old tree. And so now, you do this. Now there's a tree, charred tree. There's little scraps, and there's all around it, it's burnt out. But any new player, and they're going to laugh and they're going to joke, and well, Jimmy burnt that tree down and he lit it on fire. Now we're trying to find a sapling, an acorn that was originally from that tree to come plant it over here, because now all of a sudden this bush here is starting to decay. There's starting to be decay here, and it's starting to affect the stream, and that's affecting down there. Now all of a sudden, and this is how the world will begin to interact, and they'll become invested in this world because of that. They can see their actions. They can see things. They can interact and say, oh, we can set up a mine here. Why is there smoke over here? Well, maybe there's a bandit camp here or a slaver's camp. So you just quickly write it down and you say, slaver's camp. 5 slavers, and they've got 12 people. Now, these 12 people, you can quickly go through and you can just create something very generic. And what it does is, even though it's very generic, the players get very drawn into it. So as they get drawn into it, let's say they go off on their quest. They return from their quest of point B. Now, when players are invested in something, they want to return. They're not going to hit plant B, or they're not going to hit location B, which is where your quest is, and then they're going to hang around and they're going to just shoot off wherever. No, they're going to want to return back. So they're going to return back for their reward. What do? Well, you say as you go along, there's a band of tracks, and you can drop hooks. And the other thing that this does is, because they're invested, you don't need to fight. Like, trying to get players to join in and get a hook and go after a quest is just like pulling teeth sometimes, and you spend hours trying to write a hook, And you tell this hook and you think you've got it figured out and you've got the NPC who's delivering it. You think you've got everything in line. And they're like, hey, look at that guy over there. It's the bartender with the scar on his face. Oh, no. Why? So what this does is, and I did this literally, put tracks on the road. On the return back, I just took the map away and as I was doing little stuff, I just doodled tracks onto it. And then I put it back. And as they're, okay, now we're returning back. What do you guys want to do? And I put the map back down. They'd finished their mission. And they're like, what's that? And they started looking. And I knew it was a quest. It was another day. And I sent them after a big orc horde. It was a scouting party for an orc horde. And off they went. And that was as easy as it was to get them going onto that hook. And that led into another campaign and another mission. And so when you get them invested in something like that, and then down the road, they might start going, hey, this is day one. There's a trail. There's another trail that takes 7 days. That's why they took this one. So it takes 7 days to travel way out there. What if we secured this area and made it safe? What if we made a little inn here? And it was our inn. Or even another spot would be up here. And they start debating and they start planning stuff out and they start saying, well, maybe we can do this. And of course there's farm, you can add all kinds of stuff. See, as you're going, you kind of realize, oh yeah, hey, I can add a farmhouse over here. I can add some farms over here. Now there's people in here. Maybe there's a logging camp down here. So you can even kind of grow your thing. And you don't need to be crazy on the art. I mean, we're not going to put mountains in here because that's not where they were. They were traveling towards the mountains. But it's very easy to add anything as long as it's not permanent structures like this. And there's an outcrop, there's hills. You can create things and then you see a light on top of this mountain if it's a different map. But for this one, it doesn't really pertain to that. But you can create all kinds of stuff and then they can interact with it and they become invested and they become focused. And what happens is, if you've got a tower on your main quest and you don't want that tower destroyed, you can have a tower in here or the Tree of Life. They destroy that. That's fine. You only put that much time into it. You didn't put hardly any time into it. So if they burn it and then they get all giddy because they can see, we burnt that down. And they leave your tower alone. So for a little bit of time extra, you save yourself so much time and effort. And then, like I said, dropping hooks into this world that they're now invested in is so easy. Maybe the Mad Wizard is there. Maybe they saved a sorceress who helps them out over here, and that now becomes a hook. And she comes and asks them for help again because she's got some big plan or a big job that she needs a little extra muscle. And well, you guys showed that you have the muscle. She's got the brains and she's got the charisma to get everything going. She's over here, and whatever you can do that kind of adds to it. But let's just say they start investing in an inn and then they start clearing a path and they start becoming invested in this world that they start writing and growing, and maybe they've regrown the Tree of Life to save, so you draw your Tree of Life back in. And of course it would be in pencil, but you would erase this because you've dealt with the bandits. The forest may begin to grow. This has become old news, so he gets erased and you've made it secure and safe when you put a road. Now, suddenly, because you've opened up this road, all kinds of travelers and traders are coming through here. So they start going, well, let's put a blacksmith shop there. Oh, there's 12 grateful people. They actually come and ask you to come live there. So you start building homes. They start becoming invested in their own little community. And when that begins to happen, the players get focused, and you can give them a hook. The king originally who gave this, he needs your help again, and then you can go create another map above or to the west of the city or somewhere around. You can create another one of these maps, or you can, if they start getting bored, you can even start creating another map down here, and you can just continue on and you can draw, or you can extend, or you can do all kinds of stuff. And so the benefits of it is you create a visible boundary that the players remain in, and they explore, and what they see is what they can explore, and it keeps them from running away. The players become invested in the world and they know that they can start interacting. They get what you play this game for. You can start burn things. You can see stuff. You can see things happening rather than just trying to imagine it or explain it. The visual aid helps them do that compared to just imagining. And when players are focused on that and they can visibly see it, like I said, you can drop hooks in very easy. You can make this a very large quest if they catch on to it. This guy turns out to be a dragon down the road, or a very powerful ally. Things like that. You can add so many things. Maybe this keep is a lost keep and it has all kinds of hidden treasure in it and they managed to find it or crack the code for it. You can start building off of this so easily. What it also does is it gets this is all true. This is the only one that I actually thought of. All the other ones here was, and then the Ian, I use that personal experience. But all of this was just top of my head within this little short video of drawing it out and then originally having the thing, or the original main map. And you get your creative juices going and you start putting in rewards and it starts spinning off onto other campaigns and quests and things that you can do, and it focuses you into this world as well. So if you've got all kinds of ideas and other issues of trying to figure out other games, this kind of focuses your creativity on your game as well, this particular campaign setting. And if they don't go for it, the time it took to draw this and the time it took to write that out and do a little bit of research, like page 84, I don't know what page 84 is, but page that, and then you can put like another page 12 and a page 18, and then you put as the boss as like a page 128. That's the big boss in the end, and they've got this. And Tree of Life, you got, okay, well, that's an elf. You can just quickly make up a druid, let's say, elf. Down the road, spelled that wrong, but that's okay. Down the road, you can expand all of these if they don't go for any of it. Or else if they do go for it, you can expand it. If they don't, no time lost. And I've got one interactive map just by creating this. It's so simple, it's very rough as you can see, yet the players will just zoom in on things and they will start building. The dwarf will, in his head, start imagining walls around this. And here's the cavern, and he'll start building his own little mountain fortress with the humans on top building their fortress, and he starts going down into the mine. So it's just things like this, and that's what I wanted to pass on, how useful an event map. And if we return back, and all we've done was draw, and this is actually a map to a game that I'm creating with other DM who makes my life rough. So that's the problem with our group. We have 2 DMs, and that's why we have a very large creative. Now him and I are designing games together. Rather than trying to break one another's campaign, we're building each other. We're working together to build games. So look forward to that. We're going to start releasing games here very soon after a year and a half. We're getting very close on that. But this is all we did. We just took one little small area and we gave it an event area that they can play in, that your players can get involved in. So what happens is you save your tower, you save this, you save the people you got to save or do whatever it is you got to do in your campaign or mission without destroying your world. Now, we're going to actually talk about that in another one, about how game masters and dungeon masters are more of a game designer than they think rather than a storyteller, because that's something that I became aware of myself. They are less a storyteller, more of a game designer. So in reality, this is what you're doing as a game designer. And you're saving your keeps and your towers and other things like that, and you're giving them a playground, a sandbox playground to play around in. And that's what took a fail one there. And you're giving them this. And this is their playground. So hopefully this will help your campaign. It's helped me immensely on my campaigns and when I'm doing art and different things like that. And generating ideas. And the players love it. It makes my life easier, and hopefully you can try it in your campaign and let me know how it works out. All right, have a good day, guys.